Hello, everyone. It's William and Andrew today.
Surprise!
Two for a deal. So, yeah, we're here to show you the latest,
The end of the
the
road.
end of the road for the Heart's Desire series. Now, Andrew's done what, 40 some of these?
60.
Well, 60 total, but 40 some before this.
Oh,
And many of those have sold out.
47.
47 before this. So many have sold out, but if you haven't gotten yours, you can go to allegorygallery.com and check out the ones that are still available. Now, the ones we're going to show you here in the video aren't live in the online store yet. They're going to be live after. We're going to put them on immediately after the video, so you can kind of take your time. You don't have to worry about missing out on anything. You can watch the video, find your favorites, and then go to the online store and check them out and get yours immediately after the video.
Somebody asked if I could hold one aside for them.
No.
And I said no, because then it wouldn't be really fair.
No.
So I said, no, I'm fair.
Totally fair over here. So
first come, first serve.
That's the way it is.
And somebody's like, that's not fair. Don't you like me? I says, well, if I pull one aside, and then I was also like, then it'll mess up the look of the online store.
Right.
It won't be like a rainbow.
You gotta have the rainbow going.
I see people are watching.
There are some people watching. Let's see who's out there. Hello, June. Thank you for tuning in as always. And Teresa and Sarah, thank you. Robin, good to see you here today. Janice is with us today on YouTube, as well as Marianne. Thank you so much for joining us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe. Hit that thumbs up.
Marianne says, no one buy the little crown bird. I was like, there's like 4 of them.
There's more than one.
Which bird? I like birds.
I don't think you finished putting them all on your site, did you?
On my Instagram?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah. So there are some.
I fell asleep.
There are some that nobody have seen except us yet.
No, if you watch my reels,
see,
you got a sneak peek.
Sneak peek on the reels. So, hello, Terry. Hello, Haneke. Hello, Diane. Hello, Lorraine. Hello, Anne. Hello, Norma. Hello,
Diane,
everybody.
you're gonna have to come over soon. The daffodils are starting to pop.
Are they?
So like in like a couple weeks.
I know Barnaby wanted to see the daffodils today.
With his mouth.
With his mouth. He was crying so hard to go out today. We haven't had time. So maybe after this video, if there's still some light.
Then we got to go to the cottage and work. Sorry, Barnaby.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay.
Marianne says, not saying exactly which one.
Right.
I want to show. Ooh.
Kicking the stand.
Earthquake.
Kicking the stand.
We'll do like Star Trek old school style.
Right. What? Okay.
How do you say her name? Haneke?
Haneke? I'm not sure.
You're going to have to tell us how you pronounce it. Because
Haneke?
I don't want to be all like...
Does it end with like key, like a key, or k? Haneke?
Because they don't have
Hanukkah?
I don't know.
Haneke?
Well, they said that daffodils are one of their favorites. And me too. The other reason why I like daffodils is the deer don't eat them.
There's Jill.
Jill says Star
Trek.
We just watched Star Trek last night.
Okay, so it is like the holiday Hanukkah.
Oh.
Hanukkah.
Well, Jill, if you didn't know this, she designed for Star Trek The Next Generation. And so I was so curious because I grew up watching this. So I sent her pictures. I said, did you make this? Did you make this? Did you make this?
Bet she loved
did you
that.
Make this? She's like, I didn't make that. I didn't make that. I made this. I made this. She's like, with the tall dude.
With the tall dude.
Gene Roddenberry's wife with the tall dude. Which then I was like, oh. And then I knew exactly which pictures to send. It was pretty cool. Good job, Jill.
Good job, Jill. So.
She said she kept a check so it proves that she worked for them. I said I would have cashed them. But
hopefully you cash some of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nowadays, you get to keep your check anyway.
Yeah, they return it.
You just take a picture of it. You don't even have to do that.
Didn't the old timers they used to return the checks after they processed it?
Sometimes I think you had to request that.
I have a vague recollection in New York. I haven't written a check in probably years. Taxes. The last time I paid taxes. So last year.
Gotta write some checks sometimes.
Yeah. It's so weird. It's like you'd think that they'd want their money fast. So maybe not the old time way.
It's the way they do it. Anyway. So we're here to show Andrew's latest and last Heart's Desire paintings.
Dan said that's what pictures is for.
Cash that check, right?
That I know. I was like, the dollar bills, the rent's not gonna pay itself.
Right? And be like, can you just cut me 2 checks? One with the real amount and one with like $1.
Like, picture, hold it up to my face. See, like, this is me and this the chat.
Yep. And now it's going to the bank. My baby's going and graduating.
Yeah, I'll be like, can I get the stills and I'm gonna fly. You just might as well pay a ticket so I can go fly there and take a picture with the actor in my face.
There you go. Anyway, so now, should we show them?
Well,
you have more things
I'm not
to
gonna
talk
get
about?
hired by Star Trek now.
Right?
They're gonna be like, oh,
he's too much trouble.
Here comes. He wants money and get a picture.
Right?
All
right. So we're gonna start showing them stuff.
I guess there's like a couple people watching.
Hit that share button, everyone, please.
Maybe like 5.
Please.
Did you see that TikTok? I don't know how to use the TikTok, but then sometimes I see them, and then there's like, this is going out to all my fans, all 4 worldwide. I laugh myself worse.
That's good. That's about how many people I have on TikTok.
You know,
like 4.
They don't want to see me do the elderly Mr. Miyagi shuffle.
I bet they would.
And I like that's what I
what
see.
What precedent do you want to set?
I know. I'm like, I see some of my jewelry friends, and they're being coached. Like, there's a bunch of jewelry coaches that are on the internet now, and they're like, you have to be on the TikTok now because it's the fastest growing social media platform. And there's growing by 1 million people a day or whatever. And I was like, okay, wow. And then you see some of the TikToks. I'm not saying that this is bad because, like, if you like to dance, then you should dance. But like some of these people who are like super serious and like the most conceptual nerdy people I know, and nerdy in like a good way, but they're like their waters run deep. And then now they have to like do like shuffles and stuff so that they can get click views and stuff. And I was like, I don't know if I have that in me. Like, I wasn't one of those people, like somebody would like dare me as a child and I'd be like, no. They'd be like, I double dare you to go climb up on this and roll down the hill. I was like, no. I'm too serious as a child.
I was serious as a child too.
And so I guess that applied. But maybe like if I had like tequila
or 1 million followers.
Yeah, no. Like if I get $1 million, I'll do some inappropriate shimmy. But then they'll be mean. They'll be like, look at that elderly half Asian man shaking things that should not be shook. You can't shake that back in a can.
You can't shake that back in a can.
All right.
Okay.
They said, can you share on YouTube?
You can hit that little share button, and YouTube allows you to share to many places, like Twitter, like Facebook, like
wherever
anywhere.
you want.
Wherever you want to share, you can share. Yes. So hit the share and share it somewhere. Share that YouTube link. That's a good link. I know Marianne, she said, where did she say? I already shared. And that's good. There. I did share. Marianne always shares the YouTube link to Facebook, and we appreciate that.
Oh, good.
All right. Janice shared. Thank you so much.
Susan says the only TikTok videos I watch are cute critters, and you are not old. Well, I'm not exactly young, so I'm like in the middle, because people are like, oh well, 82 is the new young, and I'm like, well, you know what? When you wake up tired and you have mysterious pains, then I don't know. When I was younger, I didn't have that feeling, the same feeling that I do now. So I'm like, I'm not elderly, completely. I'm not in the AARP yet, but I'm also not like 20.
And even AARP cutoffs are like.
Didn't they make it lower? I do get the advertisements though. I get the advertisements for the adult diapers.
I think it's like
also
50 now or something.
I was like, who's retiring at 50?
I know.
Not my brother.
She's gonna say it again. You're not old.
Okay. I'm maybe elderly of spirit then. How about
elderly of spirit. Elderly of spirit.
You can't deny that one.
Somebody's
old soul style.
Crushing on the bee.
On the bee.
On the bee.
Here, we might have to switch because my nose is starting to run. I don't want it to like go in my mouth hole.
Okay, so it's time now.
It's time.
I'm gonna show you. This is the reason we switched the camera.
Hey, hand me a tissue. Not with the camera facing up. William. Why are you trying to shame me on the TV?
What's shameful about that? You need a tissue.
I don't like them seeing me mop my orifice.
They're not going to see you do it. They can't see you. They see me on top of my head. That's tricks, my head.
Tricks. Deception.
Okay, let's catch up on some comments. Deception.
You deceiver. You. Amethyst deceiver over here.
Marianne says, you're young because I'm in the middle and I'm old enough to be your mother.
Well, I think it's relative. I think that's a bigger conversation. Like, also, I don't tell how old I am, so that's the other thing. It's like, I don't know.
Anne says, I know I'm old because I think about my body parts. When I was young, I never had to think about them, and I'm in AARP.
Well, I don't think I'm old, but also I know I'm not young. There's a whole there, like, I don't know. Also, things take longer to do. Like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing, and we'll be done in like an hour. And you know what? Then like a week later, after I'm tiredly moving along,
shuffling
every
day, he's shuffling
in a sad way. Like and also I wake up and I look tired. Does anybody wake up looking tired? I looked in the mirror. I said, how come I look like I didn't sleep yet? I look like
I don't know. I wake up looking perfect every morning.
That's nice. How nice for you. He also doesn't get acne either. And I'm like, that's real nice.
Don't jinx me.
Well, maybe Diane, it's like reverse jinxing.
Diane said, I tried to make Wally a TikTok and couldn't figure out how to say his name instead of mine, so I gave up. But I do have a TikTok account with like one video on it. That's like mine right now. I have like 2 videos, and they're all for the store. Before I created a store one.
Well, I don't know how to use it, so I've been trying to learn on the reels how to do it, because sometimes people will post the reels and then they do the they share and stuff.
Share it. I know all the reels are like TikToks now.
Yeah, there's no
one's actually making reels. They just copy their TikToks.
I do because we're behind.
We're behind.
I need to get the young people. See, that's the other thing. Is like I never used to think about stuff like that. I used to be like, oh, I'll just do it. And then now I'm like, I need to get the young person to come up over here and show me the
we
TikTok.
Just need time to figure stuff out. That's more like what
go get the 18-year-old that knows how to do the TikTok.
Susan got her YouTube to work. Thank you for joining us over there. We're pushing everyone to YouTube.
Who's cracking up?
Who's cracking up?
Somebody said they're cracking up.
Diane.
Well, she knows what it's like that people think this is a joke, or that I must be like drunk or high or something, because I'm a little bit kind of sassafras when I'm with William. But I don't know what happens. I get sassy when he's here.
I know. You get really sassy on the camera.
I know. It's like I'm like my mom. Like when
You need
when
an
the
audience.
camera
You need a
she
physical
starts telling a
audience.
story, and then you're like, oh my
Oh,
goodness, this
don't
is like a
stop.
movie.
All right. What are we going to show? You have something
This
over
one.
here. You're going to show this first? Look at
This
this,
isn't
people.
what I'm talking. You'll be like, that's surprising. That's not
That's
what.
not a painting.
That's not. But you know what? I never actually showed the finished piece
In real life.
Yeah, I showed pictures, but I never showed the
Here,
finish.
let me take this banner away so that closes that a little bit.
Yes, somebody said, "Oh, you need to take that banner so I can see what you're doing," and then I shut
figured
the
out
whole
what you
thing
did.
down.
You tap this, and then you tapped a button. When you tap this and you accidentally tap a button, you remove yourself from this stream. You can't get back.
Well, there you go.
I don't know how you get back. I tried it the other day, and even I couldn't figure it out.
What happened? Yay for you, Janice. What happened?
Oh, Janice says I'm old. I start collecting Medicare in a couple of months.
That's nice.
I know.
Like,
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm like I look forward to that. One day, someday.
One day, someday.
I'll get like a check of like $10. But that's a different conversation. And also, I get more political, so I need to reel it back in.
Right.
Because I'm like, and then eat the rich, and then then I see the viewer number drop.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. You can do that on your own page.
And I'm vegetarian anyway.
So tell him about this. What is this, Andrew?
I made it.
He made this. He started doing the
Chasing and
Repoussé tutorial for y'all.
There's like 2 hours. So if you got like well, I guess you can pause it. I was like, if you got to go to the bathroom, maybe
you can pause it. And you can have it in the background. You can put it on YouTube. He did this on YouTube, I think. So you can put it on your Apple TV or your Google Cast, and I think it's called Cast. I don't know what it's called anymore.
I wonder if you guys like that, because
like what?
If they like the more deep dive tutorials, or do you like the more like quick and easy?
Quick and easy.
Because this is not quick and easy.
No.
Susan said she tried to watch both platforms, one
on 2 devices simultaneously, and my brain couldn't handle it. Too much overload.
I know, especially when you got SAS Factor 5 up over here.
Natalie says, beautiful.
Thanks, I tried hard. And Natalie also is talking about the aches and pains.
Right.
Correct. Like, I didn't know, like, when people used to, like, grunt when they stood up, you know?
That's a real thing, everyone.
Now I have to, like, stifle my grunt, or, like, sometimes I'll be at the contemporary craft, and then, like, all my joints will hurt, and then I'll have to, like, there'll be other people, and so I'll, like, have to shuffle the box so they don't hear me, like, groan as I stand up.
Ann Schroeder says, I like both the quick and easy and deep dive. I turn the deep dive on when I'm in my studio. It's nice to create with someone. For all of you who like the deep dives, do you prefer them to be live, or do you not mind if they are pre-recorded? How about that?
I'm not there yet.
We're getting there. We're talking about it, though. That's why I want to know.
Yeah, we finally have help at the store, so it makes it easier to do that. Because otherwise, then I'm, like, by myself, and then I'm, like, trying to angle stuff so y'all can see, and I don't know what's happening. But then I don't know, because then I get sassy, so we might have to hire somebody different, and then I can be like stoic again.
I can just edit them out.
Yeah, and be like, and then beep.
Wonder how long our videos would be if we just edited out all
the talk. They'd be like 10 minutes.
I know, right?
And then people be like, "Oh, that's quick."
Suzanne says pre-recorded would be okay.
Yeah, y'all haven't seen any of the pre-recorded.
Okay, unless they watch our YouTube channel. There's some with Jen.
Oh, yeah, but that's not me. That's
not
a
you.
Different person.
We've never done you pre-recorded.
I know. We've always
I have to determine
live.
what to chop out, what not to.
I know, because then it'll be like, I think In my mind, I think people enjoyed the sass factor 5, so that's why I do it. But then, I don't know.
Cynthia loves this.
She was like,
I love it.
Back on track, y'all.
I know.
Okay, so after we did the I'm getting to the point where I say we for everything. I'm like, people are like, how many are you? And then I'm like, am I like non-binary since I say we? No.
No.
Apparently not.
People are going to start thinking that.
I had to Google it because I don't know. Sometimes, things happen and you don't know that they happen. But then I was like, oh, nah.
So tell them.
So I did the chasing and reposé.
And made this.
And then I was like, oh, what I should do? I should set a stone in the center. So then I took a punch and I punched out a spot where I could put the bezel cup. Well, guess what? Then I melted that bezel cup because it was fine silver. And then it actually worked out because it jacked it up. So it wasn't, when I needed to set it, it actually made it like I
set it higher.
Yeah, and then I was like, you know what? That's a good idea. So then I took a little ring and I put that underneath another bezel cup, so it jacked it up even higher. And I also set that turquoise, that piece of Tibetan turquoise.
How nice is that?
And so I did that, the scallop shape, and then the sawing. So I first tried to sweat solder the pieces, but there are so many pieces and they're all teeny tiny, and it's sometimes hard to get them to fuse together. So once I tried, I was like, I don't know if this is going to hold together or not. Because it's actually 2 sheets of copper that are put together. So some of these places are they're 3 thick. Like that turquoise, you can see in the back how deep in the back there's cutouts. You can see how deep the metal is. So I cut all these pieces out, and then I cut them in, and then I riveted them, and then I soldered the tube. Oh, and I made the most pain in the butt way of setting that prong setting, and I actually broke off 2 prongs while I was doing it. And at that point, I was like, you can see where there was supposed to be another prong. It was supposed to come up where that little hole was.
Where?
There was one supposed to be over here.
Oh.
And then the other one was here.
I can't see it.
Well, anyway, so they were supposed to be prongs there, but then I was messing around with them trying to do something different. And in hindsight, I can figure out a better way of doing it now because I did it the first time.
I think it's great.
I think it turned out pretty good, but of course I know all the problems because I experienced them.
Yeah, I don't notice 2 missing. I think this is plenty down here.
I know.
Have another one there and another one there. It might be too much.
Oh, well, apparently it thought so too.
Right.
It broke off. And then at that point, there's all these stones set in there. So you can't solder. I guess you could solder. But it would be hard. You have to do all these tricks to make the stones not break. Because if you try to solder stuff after, the stone will get thermal shock and they'll shatter. Or with coral, since it used to be an organic material, it could burn. So
is this going for sale, or is this going to be an Andrew Thornton stash?
I think it's going to live in the stash for a while until I forget about it, and then William can have it. All right, let's show the painting.
Okay, let's get to it.
I'm done with that now.
Okay, first up.
All right, so I did originally when I was working on this series, I thought that it would take a weekend, and it's turned into how many months now since before I left for Florida?
Yeah. So it's been at least 4 months.
So that was in December.
The end of December.
The very end of December. Yeah, I needed money to buy equipment for the cottage. So the whole idea of this is that the cottage is Star Cottage Studio, which is our biggest project to date. There's some things that we have to do there to make improvements so that it's a fully functioning studio. And it's not something that there are certain things that are not necessarily a priority to the structural integrity of the building. But they do make it a better functioning and better functioning studio. So there are certain tools that if you have them, it will make your job really easy. And a long time ago, and by a long time ago, I mean not that long time, but I was like the most minimalist with tools, and I was like, oh, you can just make it work. And I guess that's good, especially when you're starting out. But eventually you realize that there are certain tools and they have certain functions and they make your job easier. So, for instance, you can hand saw out pieces of metal, and it can take a couple hours depending on how big the sheets are and how many cuts you need to make. Or you can knock it out in like 5 minutes with a bench shear. So there are certain tools, like you can hand polish each and every single piece of jewelry you make, but you can also get a buffing wheel, and it takes like zip, you're done. So the goal of this series was to be a fundraiser goal so that we could get more equipment and make improvements to Star Cottage Studio. So that's where this idea of this series came from.
Cynthia says, I love tools, but I also have a bunch I never touch.
Well, I have little stations set up, and I have the room to have these stations now because I never used to have room, so everything was always boxed up, and it was hard. Like if I wanted to do electroforming, then I had to like go dig around and
find the box, open the box, put something else in a box,
and hope that I found all the pieces and parts. And now I can put little stations around, and I can have my own contemporary craft just
almost
for me. I just need a hydraulic press, and then
you never have to leave your studio.
I know. I'm be like, sorry, Allison. I got my own scholarship.
Susan
now.
Loves the kitty angel.
It looks surprised.
Does it?
When
sweet.
And Cynthia can confirm this. But my mom, she loves angels. And so when we were growing up, that we would go to the dollar store because that's where poor people can feel not poor. And we would go, and she would buy all these different angels. And so our house growing up was covered with angels. So I've always been curious about them, and I still am. But now I like the creepy ones, the ones with the eyes on the wings and stuff, and it's like apocalypto time. But that's another story for another day. So, anyways, I like things with wings.
Whoops.
Show the next winged thing.
Winged thing.
So this is a monarch butterfly. We grow milkweed so that the monarch butterflies can feast. Apparently, that's one of their only food sources. And then what I thought was interesting is we grow all this milkweed and we get one caterpillar.
It's true.
Oh well. Our neighbors, they grow them too, and then they like release them. And so they usually get some of our milkweed. We give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So there's the next one.
What is it? There are people doing the talk. Cynthia said something, and I don't want to ignore my sister. She says, oh.
Mm-hmm. You don't have too much talk.
Oh.
Just love the monarch, said Janice.
And then also, they're really cool. Like, monarchs, they travel thousands of miles maybe hundreds. I don't know how far it is to Mexico. How far is it to Mexico? Well, anyways,
Depends where you are.
they go there. No, this is a chickadee. A lot of times I like the big birds. Like I love crows and ravens and owls, but I love the little birds too. And
You
that
used to talk to the little birds.
I know I creep William out.
He did.
When we went one of our first dates, we went to Central Park. I said, I can talk to the birds. And he was like, whatever. And I says, I know the language of the birds. And he was like, whatever. And then I started cheeping. And there was a whole circle of birds.
They just started surrounding us.
And then that's how I bewitched William.
I don't know what else he did to bewitch me. He was bewitching birds that day, though.
I know. I scared my friend Kat Merrick was with us, and she looked like she was gonna poop a brick because she was like, "Oh my gosh."
Janice says we have lots of chickadees at our feeders. Terry says I love the gold on the chickadee.
All of them have gold.
Yeah, they all do have some gold.
But you can still like the gold on that one.
Okay.
All right, this starts the green series. So it took a long time to finish the yellow series.
Those are the last 3 of the yellow. The first 7 of the yellow are on the website already.
Some of those got sold. But, I think we didn't really make a big splash about yellow and orange. So there was a lot left over from those ones. Like sometimes I was just like I had this idea that we would post them as I made them, and that did not necessarily work out because then people don't really see it. So you have to be all like, and then
yeah.
Now
especially
to the
with
show.
the way Facebook and Instagram are, when you post something, not everyone sees them. Janice has a good question. How much are these paintings?
I don't know.
They're all $65.
Basically free.
$65. Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into them for $65. But Andrew wanted to keep them low cost.
Yeah, there's this project at there's a gallery in Portland called Nucleus, and they just moved, by the way, which I think is good for them. Hooray. But they do this thing called the Coaster Art Project. And so they would give artists coasters, and the artists would all paint on these coasters. And some of these artists are super famous, and they have like 1 billion followers on Instagram, and their stuff sells out instantly and goes for like $10,000. And so the Coaster Art Project is a nice way for people who are established to make little pieces that people can then afford, and also so that new artists can be, they can say that they showed with, Bao Pham or whatever. So I think it's or Audrey Kasawa, and so they're like, I was in a show with them. They don't mention that there's 200 other people on that same show.
No, you don't mention that part.
I know. If I got invited to that show, I'd be like, and then
I showed with this person and this person. Let's see, what's everyone saying? Diane says my mom is obsessed with chickadees.
I think they're cool.
Mm-hmm. Susan had a chickadee yell at me for running out of breadcrumbs.
Yeah, they're sassy. They're
Harry.
Small and sassy.
Hello, Harry. Thanks for joining us. Terry says you should try painting a cedar waxwing sometime. So pretty.
Maybe. That's the other thing is sometimes people are like, you should do this. And I was like, you should do it. And I don't mean that in like a sassy way, but maybe I sort of do. But I think also like it the things that I made are the things that that spark my curiosity. And sometimes people will say things and it'll get stuck in my brain and it will come out. But generally speaking, I only paint the things I want to paint. And maybe that's not the most profitable kind of thing.
Gesundheit.
As an artist, sometimes, but I feel like if I do something that inspires me, then it will just come right out. But if it's something that like one time somebody was like, "Oh, you should paint a whole series of this," and then I painted a whole series of this, and I still have them. So, um, I'm not saying that I shouldn't do that, but you know, I'm not a total request live kind of person.
Cindy says, I love the tiny birds. I bought a pair of binoculars specifically for butterflies and birds. It's great to see things up close, Gesundheit, that are a few feet away. Yeah, there's also, I keep getting ads on Facebook now for this bird feeder that is like a Ring door camera, but it takes pictures of the birds and videos of the birds that come to your feeder. It's really kind of cool.
Barnaby would love
And then
that.
it has an app that we'll put a big TV with the birds coming up for Barnaby.
That won't get knocked.
And then it has an app that identifies each of the birds too. It takes a picture and identifies the ones and makes you kind of this chart of the birds that have visited your area.
How does it know? The AI?
The AI.
Birdwatcher AI? I think that's part of the fun is tracking down what's what.
Terry B says, I will try painting the waxwing. I can post it on the Triers. Yes, you can, Terry. Post it in the group. We're going to do painting soon. Digital painting, regular painting. I'm going to add that as a try here soon. Robin says you should always paint from the heart. Terry says you need to be inspired. Otherwise, it's a commission, which is never inspiring.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of commission work. And I feel as though that shaved years of my life off. And in some ways it was neat. Because then it's kind of like being on Project Runway when they're like, now take this pile of crap and make something. And so in that way, it was kind of cool. But then when you're like laboring on something and
like, I didn't charge enough for this.
Well, also like, it's one of those things where it can not be my favorite. Like we used to do repairs at the store. And I am not, that's not something that makes my heart sing. So sometimes we'll occasionally do one every once in a while, but that's only if you're like old, like from the old times, and you got your AG card from the beginning times.
Right. Harry says, I do the same. I never do special orders, just sell what I like to make. Janice wants one of the bird feeders with a camera. Me too. I think my mom would love that too.
We used to have lots of bird feeders, and then we moved.
Yeah, we got to get more.
I would watch the birds. So that's also another thing. Is yeah, we lived out in the woods.
This bird.
So normally I don't like blue jays because they're kind of mean.
They can be a mean bird.
But they're pretty, and I like their feathers. So. But I used to watch them. They bully the little birds. I said, "Gang up on them. There's more of you."
Right.
And they would. Sometimes they would. Because the blue jays sometimes they're a little bit aggressive, but so am I. So maybe that's why I don't always. You're like, you see something you don't like in yourself, and somebody's like, you're not a bully." Yeah, well, I try not to be. I like bees.
I love bees.
There's old timey dyes of the workers' unions, and they're all bees. And I was like, dang, I want that. And the reason why is that they symbolize hard work, industry, and community. And I think bees are super fascinating. One thing though, I see a lot of times people talking about how if the bees die, then all the people die, and that's not exactly true. Because there are other pollinators. Sometimes people think about, this is not to say I'm like really selling this, right? But no, there are actual like people think of bees as like the only pollinators, but they're actually not native to the Americas, which I thought was interesting. And the first beekeepers, the apiaries, they use the carcass of a cow. But this is mythology, y'all, because I don't think the bees is going
live in the carcass of a cow.
No, they probably saw some flies and was like, oh, that's definitely bees.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get close to look because it stank, but that's definitely bees. And then it's probably like black flies the size of your thumb.
So here's the bee. This will be in the online store. If you're just tuning in, we're showing Andrew's last of the Heart's Desire series. These are only $65 each, and they will be available in the online store immediately following this video. However, you can take a look at the previous ones. There are still just a few left unsold if you'd like to check those out there at allegorygallery.com.
I was like, boy, I must have done a terrible job on these ones that didn't sell.
The yellows and the oranges.
Yeah, I was like, nobody likes them.
No one wants
them.
Go
away, little stray. Everybody hates you. Go cry in the corner.
Oh my goodness.
So hopefully people like green because my back still hurts from hunching over these.
Andrew does not have the most ergonomical painting station in the house.
It's called our living room floor.
He paints on the coffee table and he sits on the living room floor.
So my butt hurts by the end of it. But the reason why, like, I thought about just painting at the cottage. I'm not really set up there yet for painting. And one of my concerns was that if I bring my paints over and the heat gets knocked out, then they freeze, and if the paint freezes, then it's basically garbage. So I don't have my paints there yet. Any kind of liquid chemical I've been hesitant to bring over, but now that it's warming up, I've slowly started migrating things over. And also because I want to be with my family, I want to be with my cats. Gilbert, he's a painter cat, and he begs to paint. He sits on my lap.
I need to get him some non-toxic finger paints.
I know. He
probably love it.
He's like so interested. He keeps trying to grab my brushes, which is also probably why these take longer. And I'm like, nah, stop it. You're going to mess it up.
He's trying to tell you how to do it.
And he was like, listen, I'll fix this. That looks terrible now. Let me at it. I'll make it. I'll help you.
Let's see.
Susan says they don't like wasps and hornets, but they are pollen. Actually, some of the ones, their bodies is too smooth, so they aren't pollen. Some of them don't pollinate, but that's not true because sometimes they get in figs. Mm-hmm. Did y'all know that the wasps pollinate the figs? I didn't know this, but apparently
die in the figs
and they get absorbed. So
yeah. So every fig supposedly has a wasp body that got absorbed inside.
Which is kind of
happy fig eating, everyone.
I know. I was like, is that why they're crunchy? No, that's the seeds.
Marianne likes the fox too. Natalie says, so very talented.
Thanks.
Cindy said, people love the mustard color.
Not on my painting. I was obsessed with that color in college. I did a whole series of paintings that I painted with turmeric. I was on fire for it. And one thing that I didn't know is that even in suspensions of urethane and UV coatings and everything, sometimes stuff's not light sensitive. So I was all like cooking up my own paints and stuff with all this like plants and things. And then I went and visited a collector. And I was like, can I borrow this back? Because they had placed it in a place that the light had gotten to it. And it bleached them out. So I had to, I was so horrified by that. So I had to repaint them with stable, light, fast paints. Just in case y'all wanted to know horror stories of my youth.
Susan says, that face.
Thanks. I tried hard.
Melanie, thank you for joining us. Melanie says, beautiful.
Thanks.
Natalie says, beautiful.
Thanks.
The fox and the moon are wonderful, says Harry.
Thanks.
I love them all, says Anne. Really hard to choose. I'd like to have a wall full of them.
Well, I only made 60, so...
I know. You don't know how many of them I wanted to keep, though.
So, dude, we gotta pay the bills.
Andrew's got tools to buy. I can't keep the art.
Yeah, I want a bathroom the most right now. I'm not going to get into the poop hole talk.
No. Somebody tried to talk to you about it on here, about Your toilet
William,
time.
he moved that real fast, so I couldn't see it. But I don't want. He's like, we went to this gathering, this closing art reception, and so it's talking about the septic system for like 20 minutes and burning feces, and people were like, he's like. Afterwards, he's like, can you please not talk about that at everything we go to? Because then we're going to become known as the Burning Poop Boys. And I don't really need that like attached to my name for all time. He's like,
yeah, no one's going to want to start conversations with us anymore because they're like, they're going to talk about poop.
Yeah, that one girl, Tammy, she looked horrified. She like signaled her friend with her eyes to like rescue her. And I was like, have I become like my dad where people have to get like extracted from the conversation? You know how then the Amelie, when she has something happen and then it makes her like her spirit like falls like water. That was like that in that scene. I was like, somebody actually had to signal their friend to get out of a conversation with me.
You know you've gone too far.
I know, but the other girl seemed to like it. So then another 20 minutes of poop talk. So
Harry says these would look great on a Christmas tree. I think so too. Nice ornaments all over the tree. Buy them all. Buy them all. Put them on your tree.
Love mustard color. Oh, you should probably remind them that we're on the StreamYard now. So if you are on StreamYard,
if you are watching in the Great Beat Extravaganza, in the description of this video, there's a link to StreamYard/Facebook. And if you click that link, it will allow StreamYard to show your name. As you can see here, right here, whoever this is, we love you, but we can't see you. If you click that link in the video, in the description, you only have to do it like once. Sometimes you have to renew it. But you only have to do it once, and it works for all of StreamYard. Anybody using StreamYard can see your name then.
Susan said no figs, but you know what? Figs is delicious.
Not Terry. Terry doesn't think so. She likes them even less now.
You know, with some...
I'm not a fan of figs either.
With goat cheese and some honey and some walnuts.
I do like figs when they bake them into those little crackers, and you get that little bit of fig in a little a hard
He's like,
cracker.
I don't like figs, but we used to get the figgy piggy all the time. That's not
the figgy piggy.
Miriam's that you forgot, the most delicious pizza.
Oh, that pizza, yeah, that was pretty good.
We substituted the prosciutto for mushrooms, so it was kind of not a piggy. It was like mushroom and pig or fig.
Robin has their eye on the Ram still in the online store. Hubby said he did not know what to get me for my upcoming birthday. I know what he can get me now. And remember, on a lot of our things, you can use Shop Pay to break down your payments. So it's powered by Affirm. Affirm did a little switch over. Things switched a little bit. It's now Shop Pay, I think. But you can pay over time and break your payments down and break your order down into multiple payments if you need to. You can apply for that in the online store as well.
We do that.
We do that a lot. I like Affirm.
Yeah, because I don't have money to
Let's keep moving. We're going to be here forever.
Oh, well.
Barnaby's never going to see the outdoors.
Oh, well. It's night now. Here goes. Wait, was it Diane says, my Uncle Frank was that relative that you tried to avoid getting into conversation with, but it wasn't really a conversation because he just talked and talked and talked. That's me, Diane. I'm the uncle.
Hello, Uncle Frank.
I'm Uncle Andrew.
Uncle Andrew. You are Uncle Andrew, just so.
I know.
I wonder if they are avoiding you because you talk about poop holes.
I don't know. Kids usually like that because nobody talks about it and everybody does it.
Susan says, that's me, so I just don't talk in person too much. Just smile and nod my head.
That's like if I start talking about plants or rocks or beads, people are like, oh, here he comes. You know what? I was at a bead show. And here's the thing. If you have something sassy to say about somebody, oh, speaking of Barnaby, he just jumped up.
He says, hey, remember.
How about look around before you say something? Because there is a person I know, and I overheard them talking about how they're not to walk down in our row because then they get stuck talking to me. And I was like, well, hello. And they look like they saw a ghost.
Lorraine says, why do some of these have crowns? Love that you did that.
Well, I kind of feel like, for one, I like things that's a little bit magical realism. But for me, the idea of the crown is to show sovereignty,
Sovereignty.
and to show governing of oneself. So sometimes, like with the snake paintings, it's to show that you are conquering your fears, and other ones with like the little chickadee is to kind of celebrate the small victories in our lives, and with like foxes to me are symbols of cunning and using wisdom and application, and sometimes they're thought of as tricksters, so it's kind of one of those things that you is like a mastery um over one's kind of other kind of self. And then there was one time when I was in the Hamptons, and that sounds bougie, but whatever. And I was after a concert, and I walked out onto the beach and sat on the beach and was kind of just enjoying life at that moment, because I had sold a bunch of paintings and I was following around a musician on tour, going to every concert in the tri-state area basically. I'm not going to say which one, because then people will be like, "You did what for what?" But anyway, so I went on the beach and I sat out there, and the moon was up. It was at night, and so I was watching the moon, and there were fireflies in the dunes, and then all of a sudden, this fox came out of nowhere, and it just kind of looked at me, and it was close. It was like 5 feet away. And I looked at it, and at first I was like, maybe the rabies, and then it just looked at me, and then I was like, okay, whatever, and then just walked away. And so it was one of those really magical moments that I kind of remember in my life. Um, and so there you go. Barnaby keeps kissing the stand.
Anne says, I love the snail. The snail. I love the snail. Me too. That's one of my favorites.
It's really iridescent.
Mm-hmm. Whoop. Whoop.
So if you didn't see that, you can see that this looks different colored.
Harry said the shell looks so 3D.
Yeah. Sometimes I mix up and I'm like, whoa.
Susan says, will Barnaby make a guest appearance? He's trying. He's trying. He's sitting on my lap, purring very, very heavily right now.
He's like, come on, Daddy.
Like, we gotta go. We gotta go outside.
Very deep and interesting. Love it. Well, I like a story, as y'all can tell. So yeah, more things with wings. And it's funny because I guess it's not that funny. Cynthia can confirm this, but when I was a child, they made me a little booklet of fantastical creatures. And so they started it out and they drew like one was a punk rock fairy or pixie, punk rock pixie. And then I think Sheila drew He-Man, because I really liked He-Man back in the day. And then I drew the rest of them. And so I noticed that a lot of times my drawings were me just basically taking different parts of creatures and mashing them up. And then as I'm starting to work on the stuff for contemporary craft, I'm like, man, nothing changes.
Cindy said, you've had a lot of animal encounters. Remember that time with the barn owl?
Mm-hmm. That's one of my earliest memories is we lived on this. I was about to say where we used to live, but that's like a password for my thing, so I'm not going to say. But anyways, we used to live in this old orange grove house in Florida, and it was built in the 1920s, and it was an old wood frame building, and people used to think it was haunted because a subdivision kind of sprung up around it, and it was like old and kind of decrepit looking. And in the back there was a old red barn, and that's where my dad used to keep the equipment for his landscaping business. And so I remember running in the backyard, and I was wearing a striped shirt with yellow. So my love of stripes is still, even all these years later. And we flung open the door of the barn to go play in the barn because, it's fun to play with dangerous machinery. And a barn owl flew over my head, and that stuck. There was just this wonderful, beautiful gracefulness of the owl flying without even moving its wings. And so I've always had an affinity for owls. And one of our great aunts, when we were kids, when we were little, she gave me a tiny little ceramic owl. And she said that I seemed like a careful sort of boy. And so I wasn't, but she said that. And so I had this little snowy owl that I kept with me. And then my mom took it because she was like, "You're going to break it. Aunt Laverne gave that to you, and you're going to break it." And so, anyway, that's when I started collecting owls at a very young age, and I have probably thousands of owls at this point. I don't collect them as much as I used to because, I collect a lot of things. Tools now. William's favorite when he gets the invoice. So basically, I'm turning into my dad, where I tell the stories that people kind of glaze over and collect rusty tools.
He does have some rusty tools.
Maybe I'll do a video on making them not rusty. What is it? The rabbit looks so fluffy, and I love the grass. Yeah, so a lot of times somebody was like, "Oh, that's like pointillism." And it's not really like pointillism, but I do layer the brush strokes in the attempt that it evokes a sense of texture. So this is a warbler. At first I was going to try to do a goldfinch because we have goldfinches and I think they're so cool. They eat upside down. Yeah. I never knew that, but
that's why they make feeders specially for them.
Yeah,
no other bird can eat out of them.
Well, we have echinacea or coneflower, and they will eat those, and so that they get upside down and they start eating. And I was like, "Whoa, is that bird drunk?" But then I was like, it will look weird if I make a bird upside down on this. So, so I switched it to a warbler. This is an otter. This one is actually kind of a pain in the butt to paint.
It's cute though.
It kind of looks like Barnaby a little bit. But I think of like otters as playfulness and joy. And they have a favorite rock that they keep. Sometimes they bludgeon other creatures to death with their favorite rock, but we're not going to think about that. I mean, they're a little bit vicious.
They're doing what they need to do.
Mm-hmm. They're like, "Oh, you want cuteness overload? Okay. If that doesn't work, here's my favorite special rock."
Sandra's asking, are these on the website? They will be on the website immediately following this live. We did not want you to have to rush. You can take your time and watch these.
You can hear stories
and then they'll go on the live or on the website after the video.
Picture it. Orlando, Florida. Baked under the summer sun. We didn't have any. Oh, there was an otter in Florida. I thought it was a cat that got hit on the road, but it was because it was kind of running funny. And then it was an otter. It was running along the highway. This is not an otter.
No.
This is an eagle. Oh, you can hear Barnaby coughing in the back.
Yeah, he's got some asthma, we think. These temperature changes have been hard on him. He's been coughing a lot lately. But he goes and he still plays and he runs around. But it's just when he goes outside and inside with the temperature changes, it gets to him.
Yeah, I'm like that.
I
I go out
know.
in the cold and I'm like, all right, so here's the eagle. It's like a gold eagle. Bald eagles are fine. I think they're really cool. There was one time when we were teaching out in Port Townsend, and we were driving from the Bainbridge Ferry out to Fort, whatever that fort is. They filmed an officer and a gentleman out there, or whatever. But there was the road goes alongside of water, and there was this eagle, and it swooped down from the sky and picked up a fish, and it was really amazing and kind of majestic. So I love eagles. Um, Not as much as crows though. That's my jam. And owls.
And last but not least,
Lucky grasshopper.
lucky grasshopper. I love the grasshopper.
When we were kids, we used to collect these. They're not this kind. They were the yellow ones that have the pink wings of the childhood time. But apparently grasshoppers are lucky. There's also a children's story, which I don't know who came up with it. Maybe Aesop. But it's like how to guilt children into working. But like the grasshoppers were like hanging out and having fun and living their lives, and then the ants were forced to work and work and work. And then I think they made that into a children's movie, but it's based off an old story. And then like in the end, the grasshoppers die because they weren't industrious and didn't work hard. But my problem, I think, is I work too much nowadays. And so for me, I think it's one of those things where I have to remember to take time to kind of enjoy life. And so that's that. It's a reminder to myself to be kind to myself and make time for enjoyment. Because if it's up to me, I would just work all the time and make others work as well.
Yeah, he would.
That's my special gift. And it's like, is it?
Is it a gift?
Is it a gift? Workaholic? Now I feel like I need to make another one so they're not out of whack.
You just set them up here.
There you go. He was like, there's placeholder 1. Diane says, I was going to say, I think that's the plot of the movie Ants. Yeah, so it's based off an old-timey tale. And so as a child, they were like, you have to work and work hard, and then you'll die in a couple days, and it will be all for nothing, but at least you'll survive winter.
Oh, no.
Great.
Barbara says, and the butterfly, beautiful.
Thanks.
Cynthia says, great series.
Thanks. So a part of this has been practice for doing enameling.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So usually I paint. So I used to paint as big as this wall, like huge. And then, when you live in I don't know what's wrong with my brain, but I lived in a tiny apartment where you could touch the walls. And I was like, where am I going to store all this stuff? So it became really, for me, a practical thing was to move small scale. So I started painting maybe like 8x10s, which they take up room anyways too. We have boxes of my old painting, but so I started. So this is a nice way to get some artwork from me. Sometimes some of my bigger paintings people can't afford. I still think that they're reasonably priced
We
for
never
what they are.
overprice.
Well, I mean, sometimes it takes a couple weeks to paint something, and if I'd be painting, hours and hours and hours, and that's like 50 cents an hour in the painting, But So this is a nice way that people can get some of my artwork. Now these ones are a little bit more detailed than some of the first ones in this series, and I can't help myself. I was like, I'm gonna be
You
fast.
got very detailed in the beginning, though, too.
Well,
some of the ones in the beginning were very detailed. And
yeah.
then you realize you needed to speed up a little bit.
But still, then
they're all pretty detailed, actually.
But these are more detailed. Like, I spent more time on these. Also, I'm painting non-monochromatic. Like, the first couple of them, they're all kind of like the blue series. All of them are blue. All the creatures are blue. And then in the purple one, most of the creatures are kind of purple. And then with these ones, I was like, I don't want to do that. So there you go. And you got Orange Cat.
There you go. Gilbert Cat.
Kind of. His forehead's too big for... I was looking at these cats. They're called ragdoll cats.
You love the ragdoll cat.
They kind of creep me out, but I'm fascinated. I was like, is that real? Is that a real cat? I watch the cats on the internet.
Okay. Let's switch this around.
Do a boogie check, bro.
You're okay.
Uh-huh. Are you sure? You look pretty fast.
All right, everybody.
I've been sneezing like nonstop in the background, as you probably heard. You're probably got thunder blasted.
Lots of bless yous on there. So thank you for watching. If you'd like to see these or purchase any of these, as soon as this video ends, I'm going to walk over to my computer over here, and I'm going to put them live. We're going to push the button. They're going to go live. They're going to show up at the very top of our website. And you can, there you go. You can get them in just a few moments.
I wore a matching shirt. Did y'all see that?
He did.
Green for green.
Green for green.
Yeah.
Green for green. We need to raise your seat up. I need to slouch a little bit. There we go.
I noticed they were the same height.
There we go.
I'm the boss now.
He's always the boss.
Mm-hmm. The little boss. Suzanne said that was great. Thanks. Well, I hope people like them, not like the yellow and orange ones.
No one seemed to like those.
Go in the garbage, live in the trash, little stray. Oh. There's a little newt, and I was like, this is the cutest little newt ever. Nobody likes it. Go in the garbage. No, it's not going to go in the garbage. But, yeah.
All right.
And the people like, look at him try to guilt trip us.
All right, everybody.
No.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your support. We hope you love these. We hope you purchase these. Andrew's got tools to pay for. He wants new things. Look at him.
Yeah, so I started getting these impression dies, and guess what? They're not cheap. So
I saw the invoices. I can vouch for that. I saw some of the invoices, probably.
Don't worry about it. I was like, I made some paintings. I'll sell these paintings.
He did.
But you know what? If y'all don't buy them, then we don't get to pay for the tools. And then I have to go work at the sheets to go pay for my tools.
That's our local gas station, if you don't know.
Which there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But you know what? Working in the food service, I'm not fast. So the people...
They have like a restaurant too. Lots of food.
So they would be like the slow service. I'd be like, the slow cook sheets.
Wow, he chit-chats about poop holes to people.
I know. People are like... Here's a little bold one over here going to talk about the poop hole.
All right, before we get too far into this,
he's gonna
we're gonna say goodbye.
Story time with Andrew at Sheets.
Right.
We'll all go park in the parking lot.
Here we
go.
go.
I was like, gather around and let me regale you with the stories of my youth. No. People will be like, here goes again.
All right, let's let these people buy these if they want to.
I would just talk all day.
I know he would.
Like when William's here, I'm like, let's make it linger. And then when I'm by myself, I'm like, done now, bye.
Oh, didn't work. Bye.
Oh well. And then now I'm like,
He likes
Susan
to.
said, "No, we need story time with Andrew." Well, she's my neighbor across the street. I'll go out onto the porch, put the
Put
swing
some
set
chairs
out.
out.
We have a swing in there, but I was gonna restore our swing, and William's like, "I gotta go to the bathroom." He's getting frantic. He's like, "He's trapped me in."
I'm trapped.
He was like, "I can't help me."
All right, everybody.
I'm doing it out of almost spite.
I know he is.
Marion says, "Have a great weekend, everyone."
See, everyone's saying they want to buy your stuff. Do you want to buy things, everybody, or do you just want to listen to story time with Andrew?
Extend to stay.
Because I'm gonna have to climb under the desk.
You can't. There's bars. There's crossbars.
See,
You'd be trapped.
have a pleasant weekend.
Terry's like, "Peace out."
Bye, everybody. Okay.
No.
Yes.
Then,
bye, everybody.
In my youth,
have a great weekend.
I painted a butterfly on the baby